So I want to talk about this idea that atheists are intellectual rapists here real quick, guys. First of all, let's talk about what a rapist is to begin with. A rapist is someone that is a person who forces themselves on somebody sexually. I'm not even going to say a woman, because these days men are being raped. You know what I mean? But usually if you force yourself on someone sexually and you have intercourse with them, you're raping them or whatever, right? But the key word there is to force. The atheists are intellectual rapists in the sense that they are forcing what they believe is education on other people. So in our school system today, our children are forced to believe that evolution is science. There is no back and forth that you can have with the professor or with the teacher or anything like that. They literally force you to accept evolution as being biology. You know, even though you have adults from all different walks of life, including scientists themselves, that are telling people that they need to be skeptical about the theory, okay? You can look at the fossil record. You know, it's funny how evolutionists can look at the fossil record and come to the conclusion that evolution is true, because there are other scientists that look at the fossil record and say evolution is not true. It's funny how they can look at matter and energy and come to the conclusion that evolution is true. And you have other scientists that will look at matter and energy and say, no, there must be a creator, because all of these things had to be caused or created by something or someone. You simply saying that we don't know yet demonstrates your bias. You know what I mean? And telling a child, listen to me. Don't listen to these religious people. Don't listen to me. Evolution is true, and you must accept it. If you don't, you will be mocked and ridiculed by other human beings that takes this stuff so serious that it's considered a religion unto them. And that's what they're doing. And they're trying to force you, to accept these things as being true. Okay. Another thing that I noticed that these people are trying to force on you intellectually is their brand of morality. Notice, they're not trying to persuade you. They're not trying to educate you about this. They're trying to force you to accept these things. And what they're trying to force you to believe is that morality is subjective. These people want you to believe that morality is based on your own personal opinion. But what they won't tell you, for us thinking people, what they won't tell you is that the people who believe that morality is subjective are typically criminals. The people out there going out there raping people, murdering people, robbing people, going out there committing all kinds of horrendous crimes are operating on their own personal opinion. Then we as a society will lock these people up in prison for operating under their own opinions. But that's what they're trying to get you. That's how they're trying to get you to live your life. Everything is based upon what you think and what your own opinion is, rather than telling you that there are absolutes. You steal is wrong all the time. And one of the tricks that they like to try to use when they try to argue that stealing isn't wrong is, and it is a trick, it's a Jedi mind trick that they like to use. They like to say something along the lines of, well, what if you steal to do something good with what you're going to take? You're still wrong. What they don't like to hear is that you have a moral lawgiver or a judge who can give you a pass. And this is what Jesus Christ has done for us Christians. They hate this idea. That's why they argue so hard for their subjective morality. They don't care if they got to lie, cheat, and deceive people to believe these kind of things. But these people will continue to try to force this stuff on you. And if you don't accept it, you will be ridiculed by these people. You'll be cyberbullied. You'll be called all kinds of stupid, all kinds of names and everything else in the book. And I agree with Jungle Jargon said earlier. It's child abuse. It is child abuse when you try to force these things on your children, because you're actually taking away their ability to think. How are you guys, how do atheists even come to the conclusion that they're thinking people when you can't have two different propositions and you can look at both of them for what they are and decide for yourself whether or not a proposition is true? You're not thinking, if you're just saying this automatically true, you're not even thinking about the other one. No atheist can sit here and tell me why I'm wrong because they haven't thought about it. They've been told this by a teacher, therefore it's true. I mention this all the time on this YouTube channel, but I think it's an excellent example of what I'm talking about. So they're forcing their science on us. They're forcing their morality on us. And now they want to try to take away your belief in God. They don't want you to think about that. They don't use the rules of historicity to come to the conclusion on whether or not a historical figure actually existed. They won't talk about faith and why it's an excellent way to go about determining whether or not God actually exists. Everything with them is always science. It's always science. It's always science. It's always science, because they have turned it into a religion. They'll lie to you and say, well, we use philosophy. No. You use science. We all know this by now. Because whenever you ask us for evidence for the existence of God, you're always asking us for scientific evidence. They're trying to take away common sense when it comes to science. They're trying to get you to believe in their brand of morality. And then they're trying to get you to stop believing in God so that you can join their depressing death cult, so that you can sit around thinking about killing yourself every day because you don't see any reason for living anymore. They'll make fun of religious people, but they will not talk about how atheists are suffering from depression on a regular basis and actually consider killing themselves on a regular basis because they don't believe that life is meaningful. They believe that their life is about as meaningful as this twig right here. And if you don't believe this, then there's something wrong with you. How dare you believe in Jesus Christ? How dare you be a Christian? How dare you have your own personal opinions about things? You are an idiot if you don't believe like I do. Yes, if you come out and say that you're a Christian or a theist, a Muslim or whatever, you know what I mean? If you come out and you say those things, yes, atheists are going to laugh at you. They're going to mock you. They're going to call you names and everything. They're going to say, you believe that a God created you with all the science that we have to talk about what's going on in the world? Don't get mad. Don't get upset. Don't get flabbergasted. Don't let them get under your skin when they say that stuff. You say, yes, I do believe that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. Then say this: why do you believe you share a common ancestor with a dog or a cat? Do you really believe you share a common ancestor with a gerbil? Like, we can talk DNA. We can talk about these new features that will be created through your mutations that would prove that I share a common ancestor with a dog or a cat. Let me tell you guys when I really started getting really headstrong about evolution and about rejecting. Let me tell you when this really happened to me. I started asking atheists when I didn't even know nothing about it. And I got suspicious about this. I used to ask them this question. I used to be like, well, what is the next step in human evolution? And they'll say, we're probably going to be, humans down the road, but maybe we might have bigger feet or something like that. I don't know. Which is true, because you have people with bigger feet and smaller feet and whatnot. But they never wanted to come out and say that we'll be a different type of animal in a trillion years. See, going forward, a human being is always a human being. And I know Jungle Jargon is going to get a kick out of this. If you go forward in the theory of evolution, a human being is always a human being. But if you go backwards, you can go all the way back to a shrew. You can go all the way back to a rat. For crying out loud, you can go back to a rock. You can go back to a rock. These people believe they share a common ancestor with a twig. And you're laughing at me about being created by another human being, which women have a reproductive system and have babies all the time. What's so funny about that? What's so funny about that? You can laugh it up, but trust me, I'm not walking around telling people that this is my cousin right here. You are. I'm not going around going to the Bronx Zoo, the Philadelphia Zoo, or any kind of zoo telling people that my cousin is running around like a pig, walling around in the mud. That's you teaching that. If anybody should be laughed at, it should be you. Jungle Jargon says something pretty funny. God bless you, bro. He says, this looks like this and that looks like that, and it proves nothing. That's their evidence for evolution, though, Jungle Jargon. It's true. I'll never forget when I was in a room with this atheist called Isaiah, and this dude showed me a cartoon drawing and said this was evidence for the theory of evolution. I'll never forget that. It was definitely one of the more defining moments in my YouTube career on here. And this knucklehead had the audacity to come into my room and to show me a cartoon drawing and try to argue that this was evidence for the theory of evolution. And they're laughing at me? Listen to me. Because somebody make a cartoon drawing of God, and then let's say this looks like this and this looks like that, and let's say that this is proof of God, and let's see what they got to say after that. The dishonesty in the atheist community is just completely ridiculous. It's just completely ridiculous. And the only reason evolution is being taught in our school system, make no mistake about this, the only reason evolution is being taught in our school system is because of tax dollars. That's the only reason. You take away the tax dollars, evolution goes bye-bye. And that's it. Evolution goes bye-bye. Because nobody believes that garbage anymore. The only reason people even buy that nonsense is because they don't want to be cyberbullied. That's the only reason. Most people will not stand up for what they believe, and they know it. That's why they constantly bully people into believing the things that they believe. A lot of people don't got a backbone to stand up for what they actually believe. They'll say debate is reprobate, but they don't got the guts to get on here and to consistently say that evolution is nonsense. They don't got the guts to do that because they're too busy getting on their knees, getting their chapstick, having atheists bend over, and them kissing their butts. I want you to think about that a minute. Just think about that. And in closing, I want to say this. I don't know how many of you saw, who was I having a conversation with? I think it was with Godless Engineer, and it was with Steve McRae. I don't know if you guys saw that butt whipping I handed Godless Engineer, but they were trying to argue that they were animals, if you guys saw it and whatnot, and that human beings are animals. Well, before these people left, there was a pit bull right over there, and that pit bull was an animal, and those human beings own that animal, right? If you're gonna teach people that you're an animal, and you're gonna teach people that dogs are animals, then and you're gonna say that it's okay for one animal to own another animal, we're a different kind of animal according to evolutionists. But if I'm an animal and a dog's an animal and I can own this animal, then what exactly is your problem with slavery from an atheist worldview? I can tell you what my issues with it is from a Christian worldview. But I don't understand how it's a problem in the atheist worldview. I really don't. Are you trying to say that if people are more evolved, if you got an animal that's more evolved than another, does that necessarily mean that it's okay to own another animal? Isn't that what was taught during the transatlantic slave trade? Isn't that what the Nazis believed about the Jews? But they try to say that Christianity had a lot to do with that, right? Christianity had nothing to do with that. Everybody knows by now, everybody should know by now, that came out of evolution. They believe that the more evolved you are, the more you should be able to get away with. Evolution is a religion. It is a bad philosophy, and it is not science. There is no evidence to back it up.